I know a mom who's practiced real love for quite a while now, and she's really worked at it. It upsets everything, meaning it changes everything. Turning a supertanker around in the ocean, going top speed takes, you read different accounts, but at least 6 miles. It takes a long time, and it takes a long time to turn a family around. They have at least that much inertia, but she didn't quit. She kept going, and at one point I said, "You're getting pretty smart about doing this." She said, "Well, yeah, until I get to a new realm of dumbness." It's pretty smart. I said, "There's always a new realm of dumbness. The more you know, the more you see, and then you realize, oh my goodness, there's so many things I need to learn." She said, and I'm going to number the children because the names of the children don't matter to you. Child number 3, and that means in order. So in age, the third child, was getting mixed up in a conversation between children 1 and 2 about how to plug in the toaster and whether child 2 had used the hairspray and not put it back this morning, which was an issue between 1 and 2 the day before. And I could hear the tone rising in the next room as he was interfering in their conversation. And I asked what the problem was. I asked him, "What's the problem?" Now, that's brilliant to ask him what the problem is, as opposed to you stating it. He'll learn more. Then he has to distill what he has learned so far instead of you repeating yourself. We've talked about this before. Have them state it. They learn more. Mom says, he said that he was getting involved in other people's business. How about that? Pretty smart. And he understood that principle that he was getting in other people's business only because you've helped him, Mom, see how often he's done that over and over. And also showing him that every time he does it, it goes poorly. That's why we don't get in other people's business, not because there's some eternal rule, don't get involved with other people's business. No, because it doesn't go well. They don't like it when you manage them. And we do it all in the name of helping. Mom says, it was during the morning hustle, for school, which is a bit of a madhouse every day. I required that he write down what he just learned in his pink notebook. Now, for the rest of you, quite some time before this, she had begun the practice with all the kids of having a child get a notebook to write down what they were learning and what they'd been taught. And sometimes they would talk about it in family meetings. They had to go over it. They had to review it, the notebook, with her periodically. And she would point to things and say, "Teach me about that event," until they could state what they had learned with no attitude. See, if a child goes, "Well, I learned this. Stay out of other people's business," yet they haven't learned a thing, and they're still disrespectful. It's a huge thing that she taught her family to do. She says, and I said that he needed to show me what he had written on the way to school. So he didn't have a long time he had to get to it pretty quickly. That it was an added issue that he needed to pay attention to in addition to the others in the notebook. Beautiful to read this. This is the result of long hours, days, weeks, months of loving and teaching. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. So those of you who are hearing this, don't go, "Oh my gosh, my kids are going to write down their own emotional issues that they're learning and describe them. I'm about 8 light years from that." Yeah, you might be. But I'm telling you that it's possible. How do you build a dam? 1 shovelful at a time. When did Noah build the ark? When it wasn't raining. So get to business and just start building now. Mom says, when we were getting into the car on the way to school, I dropped my bowl. This is a separate incident. I dropped my bowl of oatmeal as I was getting in the car. And child number 2 said something in a mocking tone. Now, to the rest of you, you all know this tone. It's the one that everybody in class uses when a child, for example, trips and drops his books, papers, and whatever on the floor. And there's lots of joking. And then there's, really graceful. I mean, everybody chips in now because you're down literally on the floor. Nice move. X-lax was one that we heard when I was in high school. Did you learn that in ballet school? All the little demeaning things that people say, but it's really the tone. It's a condescending and critical tone. And that's the tone child number 2 just used on Mom. Mom says, I stopped everything I was doing, didn't pick up the ball, didn't make the car move forward towards school, and we're getting late. And I said, you need to say that again in English. Now, all of you who've done the parenting training remember chapter 0, where we talked about we don't allow children to whine. They have to speak in English. Even if a child's really little, they have to do it in sign language or with pictures. So I then just sat there waiting, Mom says, occasionally helping with a word or two if she needed help, until she could say this in English. So this is child number 2. Quote, when you dropped your oatmeal, I made fun of you. That's accurate. I said, the daughter continues, I am better than you. I'm superior. You are stupid and clumsy. And I love rubbing it in when you make mistakes because it makes me feel less stupid for the times you've had to point out my mistakes. Wow. The child said all that. That's perfect. It's a little embarrassing to admit what we really mean when we casually insult or mock somebody. It's not very flattering. So how do we stop that? Somebody requires of us to say it in English, and we realize how condescending and snotty it is. Mom says, then I did for her, child number 2, what I had done for child number 3. She needed to add this discussion to her list of issues that she's working on in her notebook, because they talk about these things later. We were driving to school and child 3 was reading over her own notes of things, emotional and behavioral issues that she's working on. So there I was in the car with 3 kids, 1, 2, and 3, all working on their notebooks of what we call inner treasures. Unbelievable name for the book. I didn't suggest it. It's brilliant because they are treasures. They are life-saving treasures. I told them it takes work and effort to change. First, you need to listen and understand. You need to write it down because writing really makes a difference. And then you need to read it daily and stop the old way and practice the new way because it works better. It takes awareness and repetition, and it's for your sake so you can be happy. If you don't show sincere effort because you don't understand that your own happiness hinges on your effort, then I will help you using consequences. That's a perfect description of when to use consequences, when somebody's not learning with words. And the scene you just described, Mom, is a miracle. It's what we call real parenting. Like, wow, it's a result of your being studious, persistent, and brave. Mom continues, child number 2 has an awful habit of mocking me. She is what I would call out of credit. I will slap her wrist the next time when she's out of credit, meaning consequences will follow. I haven't seen it or felt it clearly enough. It's dressed up as a joke on her part, the daughter. And I've bought into it because I was, gullible and stupid. And now I'm seeing the awfulness of it. It's not funny. And no, it's not the least bit funny. Without help, she'll grow up to do this with nearly everyone in her life. And then she'll wonder why she's alone at work, in her marriage, with her kids, because she gets away with being mocking and condescending, but not really, because then people will avoid her. I told her, you wouldn't do this to a teacher. She agreed. It's very disrespectful. She looked up, the daughter did. She looked up the definition. To mock is to make fun of or mimic someone with contempt, ridicule, or derision. I said, if you disrespect your mother, how can you feel your mother's love? Exactly. Nice work, kid. This is a miracle of teaching. It's a miracle of real parenting. And you don't have to be at the place this mother is. She's been studying it for a good while. But this is where we're headed, to this kind of miraculous result.